I worked with a lot of men and women who served with integrity and didn't do what I did. That's why I made some of the decisions I made, because I was impaired by alcohol. And I'm not blaming booze, because I still knew what I was doing. But that's the way I justified it back then. So, and then I got involved in other substances. My drug history is very short. It only lasted 17 months. It caused me and a lot of guys I work with a lot of problems. And out of the respect of the fifth tradition, that's all you're going to need to hear from me about that issue. Please feel free to use your imagination. I'm sitting home from work one day and I'm reading the Daily News. There's an article in it that said, it's a series of, it's an extensive article, and at the end there was a little box that had a bunch of questions. It said alcohol problems, drug problems, depression, marital problems, thoughts of suicide. I was 4 out of 5 because I was single. And I'm sure if I was married, I'd been batting 1,000. And they talk about the moment of clarity. As soon as it came, it quickly left though. But something made me cut that ad out, and I stuck it in my wallet, and I continued on drinking. It was Memorial Day weekend, 1988. Guys I worked with, we were in some trouble, so we went to a bar to get our story together. And one of the guys I was with decided that he was going to drive home, that God forbid to take care of some sort of family obligation or whatever. And I decided I would give him a ride home because I did not think that I was as drunk as he was. And I'm a show-off. I always was an arrogant guy. I was very aggressive on the job, and just in case you happen to miss my latest exploits, I would have a copy of the paper in the car. I'd be one to have the autograph for you if you were interested. So I'm going to show off my driving skills because I would see scenes in television or in the movies. I could do that, they do that, I could do that. Now I know everything's prearranged on people and all that other stuff, but I didn't know that. I didn't care because I'm not driving my car. And I had this city car, and so I decided I wasn't as drunk as this guy was, and I was going to give him a ride home. And unfortunately, he thought that was a good idea. So I'm coming out the street, driving down Poplar Street. So now it's a one-way street, and there's a big stone wall on my left-hand side, and I saw a kid riding towards me on a bicycle. And for some reason, I thought it would be funny to see this kid jump the curb and grab the wall. I don't know why, I just thought that would be funny. So I decided to play chicken with this kid, and unfortunately, at the last second, we turned the same direction. I ran this kid over. As he lied, bleeding on the hood of my car, I got out of my car on my nightstick. I was going to beat this kid because I thought he was milking me in the city for an insurance claim. The guy that I was with prevented me from doing that. I took this kid off the hood of my car, threw it along the side of the street like a piece of trash. I pulled this crumpled bicycle from underneath my car, threw that off the side of the street like a piece of trash. I drove back to the bar, made some sort of smart aleck remark, and I continued on drinking. When I came to the next day, I realized I was in serious trouble, but I didn't think anybody would help me because I was such a creep. Now, believe me, I was a creep, and I didn't know what to do. So what I did do, I got a bottled liquor, a case of beer, and some other substances, and I checked into a hotel with the intentions of goods, all this stuff to build up the courage in my life. And 3 days later, all the stuff is gone, all the booze is gone, all the other stuff is gone. And they're knocking on the hotel door to kick me out. And at this point, I'm suspended from my job, so I no longer have access to my weapons, so I couldn't shoot myself. So I walked over to the window, and I was going to jump out the window. And I opened up the window, I was on the 5th floor, and I remembered I was scared of heights. I made 23 jumps, I never overcame my fear of heights, So I went into the bathroom, and I filled the bathtub with water and had a blow dryer. I was going to pull the blow dryer into the tub and make it appear nice and not electrocution. But every time I pulled a blow dryer into the tub, it would come unplugged. I was about 1.5 feet short on cord. And I got 1 foot in the tub, and I'm leaning trying to plug it in, And it's like that scene out of Woody Allen movie where he couldn't even kill himself, And it's okay to laugh, but, I never want to forget the pain I was in that day. So the only other tool that I had left was my car. So I took one last spin through the neighborhood. I start up the Falls Bridge, and I come down the East River Drive, which is a winding road along the Schuylkill River. And it was a weekday, mid-morning weekday, because that would be important, because if this was any other time of day, I probably succeeded when I set out to do, which was to end my life in an automobile accident, And I handle jobs like that. I know it's a winding road. I think the speed limit was 20, and it's just a dangerous road. And I'm doing 50, and I'm cooped. I'm out of my mind, hungover, and I figured this would end quickly. Then I had remembered something that happened when I was young. I was about 22, 23 years old. And I remember I knocked on this guy's door. I told him that his son was killed in an automobile accident. And he was an older guy. To me at that time, everything's relative. He looked like he was probably in his late 30s, early 40s to me. And the only way I can describe it, I can still picture this yesterday, it was like 20-some years ago. He slumped against the door, and I actually saw like the life leave this guy's eyes, I was in court a few weeks later. I didn't even recognize the guy. He was there for us, he pulled me over the hallway and started talking to me. I didn't recognize the guy, he just aged. I now know that was God. I didn't know that then. But much pain that I was in that day, I thought back on this incident, I knew that I could not cause this type of pain on an innocent family. But I still needed to end my pain. So I decided I would wrap myself around one of the trees. Some trees tend not to move. You hit them at a pretty good rate of speed, and sometimes your car splits in half, or if you're not belted in, you get ejected from the vehicle, struck by another vehicle. That usually does the trick. And by then I just lost it. I just started crying, and I was just a complete mess. And I finally pulled over at the end of the East River Drive, Boathouse Road. And I sat behind the wheel of my car and I cried like a baby for about 10 minutes. And I reached into my glove box where I always had an extra gun, and that wasn't there. But my wallet was in the glove box, and inside that wallet was an article that I had clipped out that I knew it was about 6 weeks before. And it's no longer there, but at the end of the last boathouse was one of these old glass enclosed phone booths. And I walked over to that phone booth and I dialed that phone number on that ad. And the woman who answered the phone, I spoke to this lady like I spoke to no one in my life before. I told her the truth. I told her everything that was going on in my sad, miserable life, and God bless her, she listened patiently. And when I got done, she said, listen, why don't you drive over to Hahnemann Hospital? Somebody will be waiting to talk to you. And that was about a 5-6 minute drive. I said, okay. And I drove over to Hahnemann, and they were waiting for me. They admitted me to their 10th floor psychiatric unit. And they kept me there for about 3 or 4 days. And from there, I got transferred to the VA hospital out in West Philadelphia, where I would spend about 6 weeks on their flight deck. And from there, I got transferred to the VA hospital out in Coatesville, where I would spend another few weeks on their flight deck before I got put into an alcohol and drug ward. When I pulled over that day and made that phone call, Alcoholics Anonymous was the furthest thing from my mind. I didn't think I had a problem with alcohol. I thought my problem was short use of other substances. If I left that crap alone, I'd be okay. Maybe I got this mental illness. I heard this from my mother. Maybe this stress stuff I got, they're now talking about, I got it from the job, or got the experience in the service. Maybe it's the neighborhood I live in. Maybe it's the fact I'm a mummer. I don't know. But it can't be alcohol because I'm a beer drinker. There's no way that you could be an alcoholic drinking beer, So I finally got put in the alcohol hospital, and I'm there about 20 minutes, and I get the lay of the land. I start scouting out because I'm finally in a place that has handles on both sides of the door, and the arrogance creeps back in. So I probably got about 8 to 10 weeks in various nonwards under my belt. So I make my way down into the day room, and in the day room, up on the wall, they had the large window shades of the 12 steps of the 12 traditions. Right? I zip through the steps. I got about 6 of them done. I see the men. I said, no, I don't do that. We don't. No, wrong guy, wrong neighborhood. We don't know men and eggs that off. But later that night, 2 men came up, and I would later find out that they were part of the treatment facility committee. I did not know that then. They came up to carry the message of Alcoholics Anonymous. The moment that the speaker said something about his background that I did not identify with, could not relate to, or just didn't like, I'd immediately tune him out. I was too busy listening to the messenger, not the message. Then I'm looking around the room, and I realized I probably a little quick, pulled the trigger a little, well, no pun intended, probably a little quick in seeking treatment. I said, man, I'm really not bad as these guys, I'm looking at these guys had wives who hated them, kids they couldn't see, PFA orders, things like that. I didn't have that problem. Probably due to the fact I'd never been married and didn't have any children, may have had something to do with that. A lot of these guys had job problems, I never had that. I only had 2 jobs in my life. I went from high school to the Air Force to the city, the police department. Never worked for anyone else, A lot of these guys had legal problems. I didn't have any yet, I'm looking for the differences, not the similarities. But what bothered me the most, without any question, was at the end of the meeting when everyone got in a circle and held hands and said the Lord's Prayer. If this is what you people are about, I didn't want nothing to do with you because I hated God. And I always tell people, I know they're strong words, but you know what? It doesn't even begin to sum up the feelings towards God. I hated God, and believe me, it was a legitimate hate for several good reasons. One of those reasons, I talk about my mom's mental illness. My mom was a fundamentalist in the church, and she was in the charismatic movement. She thought she could speak in tongues and things like that. And I was 15 years old. I came home from school one day. I'm going to be a member of Al-Anon. She was just a beautiful lady, and she saw through my BS. And she came up to me, she said, the only way you're going to make it, you're going to need to go to Alcoholics Anonymous. And I need to tell you that's the best piece of advice I got. And that's where I would get my recovery. I got it in Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't get it in the VA hospital. The VA hospital does great work. They help me with lots of things, They drain the oil, they tighten the bolts, they did good work. But I would get my recovery in AA. I went to AA every single day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day.